Hi everybody and welcome. Sorry that I'm not here today, but I thought this could be a good opportunity to hit the pause button on the skills we've been working on and actually take a look back at some of these older skills from a few units ago. I think one of the things that's come up in class a few times lately is in order to understand a new skill, we have to remember all of the old skills that we've been working on too. So today, I'm going to look at two of the most commonly used skills that we learned almost 3 months ago now actually. And we're going to review some of those skills that way. Hopefully we can leave here today feeling confident about linear pair and vertical angles. So those are two things that come up all the time, both with what we're working on now, but also in the future. And I'm hoping that if we take some time to review these things, we'll have some more confidence and we'll be more successful on future lessons. So let's start off first with a linear pair. So a linear pair is a pair of adjacent angles formed when two lines intersect. An example of a linear pair is, let's say we have this line and this line. Adjacent angles is a fancy way of saying next to. If we have angles 1, 2, 3, and 4, linear pair options are ones that are right next to each other. So 1 and 2. They are directly next to each other, and basically the simple way to view this is they form a line when we put them together. So if we put 1 and 2 together, they make a straight line. So that is one example of a linear pair. But there's more. 3 and 4. If we put these two things together, they make a straight line. And it actually doesn't stop there. So there's one example, there's a second example. 2 and 3 also make a linear pair. You can probably guess, yes, there's another one. 1 and 4 as well. So like a lot of things in geometry, if you just keep going, you can get yourself some more examples. So 4 different options, but the key to all of these options is if we take a ruler over them, when we put two angles together, they make a straight line. Put two angles together, straight line. Two angles together, straight line. Two angles together here, also, you guessed it, straight line. So the key of linear pairs is when we do that, the angles add up to 180 degrees. So that's why linear pairs are helpful. So if you ever see two angles you can put together that make an exactly straight line, they add up to 180 degrees. So some questions that you might see are, 1, identifying them like we did, but 2, they might give you something like 120 and x, and they might say solve for x. So we can identify that 120 and x are a linear pair because, again, they share together, make a straight line. So we can add these up and set them equal to 180. So some algebra steps to solve here. Subtract 120 from both sides. We'll end up with x equals 60. So there's an example of a linear pair question. All right, so commonly confused with linear pairs are vertical angles, our second skill for today. So vertical angles are either of two angles on opposite sides this time of two intersecting lines. So instead of next to, think about this one as opposite or across. So if we have two lines that intersect, there's opposite sides, they're across. Here's opposite sides, here's across. So you can see that in color today. Sorry if you're colorblind. So Angle 1 and angle 2 are vertical angles, and angle 3 and angle 4 are also vertical angles. So this helps us because vertical angles are equal to each other. So we can say angle 3 is equal to angle 4. Angle 1 is equal to angle 2. A challenge example of these is what happens when we have all of these lines together. How can we get some vertical angles here? And it's nice to do on the iPad actually because I think it helps you visually see it a little bit better. When you have a whole bunch of lines, vertical angles are always formed by 2 lines. We have 4 lines here, so what do? Simplify it. Make it into 2 lines. Well, actually, I'm going to do that a little bit smaller. We can differentiate these a little bit better. So our vertical angles here are still across from each other. So if we label these angles 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8, we can actually see in this challenge example, the red angles are vertical. So angle 7 and angle 6 are vertical or equal to angle 2 and angle 3. So here it takes a few pieces to put them together. Another option of vertical angles are, thought I was on my highlighter there, these ones. So we can also say that angle 1 and angle 8 combine to be equal to angle 5 and angle 4. There's a bunch of different ways that we can go through and do this with a bunch of different combinations of lines, but at the end of the day, vertical angles are just the angles that are directly across from each other when we simplify it down to 2 lines. So remember, they do equal each other, and they do have to be directly across from each other. And it always, always, always is when we deal with simplifying it down to just 2 lines. So sometimes it helps if you redraw it directly next to it if you don't have access to highlighters and things like that. And I would see this as 2 plus 3 and 6 plus 7 over here, and then 1 plus 8 and 5 plus 4 over here. So simplifying it down to 2 lines, hopefully this helps you see it a little bit better as well. A second visual way to see this, 1 and 8 and 5 and 4, again vertical across from each other, and 6 and 7 and 2 and 3, again vertical across from each other. And vertical means equal. All right, team, I'm going to give a few practice questions to go over. Work together on these practice questions. Please remember, I do need to see your work for these on paper. And once we have that done, submit it on Book Widgets and turn in that paper either to me in person. You can do it via email. You can turn it into the teacher that is there today as well. But either way, please make sure, again, it is submitted electronically and on paper. All right, team, I'll see you tomorrow. Thanks for your hard work today. Any questions, as always, shoot me an email. I'll go back to you as soon as I can. Have a wonderful day, and I will see you all very soon.